Well, hello everyone. Welcome to day 174. It is Tuesday. It is June 23rd. And if it's your first time here, I want to welcome you. And if you've been here before, welcome back. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you all for being here. And today's message I wanted to talk to you about was trust. A couple examples. If you've ever flown anywhere, then you trust the pilot. When you get on the plane, you trust the pilot. You don't know the pilot. You probably didn't see the pilot, but you trust whoever's driving that plane to get you to your destination safely. So why wouldn't you trust the Lord? My other thing, and I want to get a little more detailed into this. So back before GPS, cell phones, and all of that stuff, you had to rely on AAA and triptychs or paper maps, or you had to rely on instructions, say, from your friends. I went to visit a friend one time, and I didn't have any kind of maps or anything, and this was 25 years ago, and he lived 10 hours away. And he told me, take this route, this exit, this route, this exit, blah, blah, blah. And, once it got down to the closer areas, he was like, you'll exit here, you'll make a left on the first street up to the light, and so forth and so on. And as you're driving along, and as those hours turn into 5 hours to 7 hours to 8 hours, you're hoping and you're praying you don't get lost. And there's nothing to fall back on back then. There's no GPS saying recalculating. You just have an address and instructions of how to get there from your friend who lives there. And you know what? As it gets closer, you turn off and you were like, I hope I'm going down the right street. I hope, is this the street he said turn left on? Or do I go one more up? Is this the light? Things kind of maybe seem a little confusing. Maybe they seem a little unclear. Maybe you seem a little nervous and you think, I better stop off and ask if I'm going the right way. But if you just follow the directions, and that's what I did. This is a personal story for me. Back in 2000, this happened. And, it's like, and I pulled right into his apartment complex and parked right where he said to park, and the door to where his apartment was right there. So what I'm saying is, you trust these things. Why wouldn't you trust the God of the universe? Why wouldn't you trust a God who gave his son? Like his son, imagine if you have a child or a loved one even, and sacrificing them, giving them as a sacrifice for you, and that's the thing right there. Why wouldn't you trust God? So sometimes when things don't look a certain way, or we don't think they look the way we want them to look, we judge that, or we go, I'm not sure about this, but you know what? Like, even when I wasn't sure about things going to my friend's house, I got there and everything was fine. I trusted in his ability to get me there. Even when I've flown places and the planes had turbulence, or the planes had to cycle in the air a little bit, maybe because it couldn't land yet because there was another plane on the runway or whatnot. And I've had that happen. I've trusted the pilot to do what he needs to do to get us to land. So I want to say, why aren't we trusting God? And that's the thing. And so today's scripture simply is one that I've talked about many times before. It's Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. So that's what I want to talk to you about right now. If you're struggling, if you're standing for your marriage, if you're struggling in another area like I've talked about financially, with your job, with just a life situation, understand that you can trust the creator of the universe, the God that loves us so much. You trust friends, you trust people you don't know. Trust him. And that's my simple message for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode tomorrow. God bless.